Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 118. How to teach simple STEM for independent learners for maximum engagement. Very often, we start our journey into teaching with an interdisciplinary mindset, such as STEM. We get overwhelmed and with how we're going to integrate everything and how we're going to, get all the different schools of thought and disciplines together in one. And the key really is to just start somewhere. Renee Henrick from Science Schoolyard talks to us about simple STEM ideas and how to nurture independent learners. I hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey! So today we continue on our series of STEM educators who will all come together this April for you know what, an incredible learning experience that you're not going to want to miss. It is STEMCon 2021. STEMCon 2021 is even bigger and better than STEMCon 2020, which is personally hard for me to even fathom because STEMCon 2020 was one of the best PD experiences of my teaching career. And that's been for over 20 years. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. There are so many testimonials that talk about that as well. And you can check all of that out at trinadeberyteachingandlearning.com/STEMCon 2021. All one word, STEMCon 2021. I will link to that in the show notes. Oh my, I am so honored to be a part of this. And I was then, I am now, and it is the most exciting thing. So for the next few months, you're going to hear from some of the most talented STEM educators. We started last week with Dr. Jen Verenhoven, which you definitely have to check that out. It was one of my favorite episodes. You have to listen. I'll link to that in the show note, episode 117, How to Start a Teaching Rebellion. So we start off with that and we continue on with some really special guests. And all of these people will be presenting at STEMCon 2021. And this is just a very small taste of the magic you will experience at STEMCon 2021. So get inspired by taking a listen to episode 76, the biggest takeaways from STEMCon 2020. And then you can sign up and join us for this year, 2021. And again, that's at trinadeberyteachingandlearning.com/STEMCon 2021. And I will link to it in the show notes. So now let's get ready to dive in with another STEMCon presenter, Renee Henrick from the Science Schoolyard, as she motivates us to just jump in to STEM. So I'm so excited to have Renee Henrick back on the show. She was on, I've got to look and find out what episode, but she was on, we were talking about science, and Renee and we've met each other and become friends through STEMCon. And we did that last year, STEMCon 2020. And now we are doing it again, STEMCon 2021. Woohoo! So we're excited and we are ready and looking forward to that happening.
I am so excited about this next year of STEM conference topics because it's so different from where we were last year to where we are now, because we just have to think differently and teach differently, and being able to share what our experiences are and how we can help other teachers is just so, so important to all of us here.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. And you are like completely in the trenches. So, which makes it sound like a battleground. And I was just listening to someone talking about, it does feel like that sometimes though. So we're going to talk about simple STEM for independent learners. So Renee, all right, because you've got so much going on, like even right now, as we're speaking, Renee's got a class, an after school club. Is it a club?
Right.
Yeah, an after school club.
Cabin Fever Club this time around. And I have the most wonderful group of kids that they were just like, whatever we think to do that kind of helps us get through until spring break. So it starts off doing STEM activities, and I send home bags of goodies with them with a whole bunch of supplies in there. And then we kind of go through like makerspace tasks. We might do a STEM activity, and all of a sudden it turned into this group of boys that I have saying, Mrs. Henrick, we'd love to do a podcast. Well, I've never done a podcast before, and we did it. Our first episode was last week, and we
That's so
published
cool.
it for the whole school, and it went out through the district because they were so excited. And so my boys are listening to the podcast, but they're writing their script for their own podcast that we will be taping tomorrow.
That's so cool. I love that. I did a podcasting school for teachers last year, like a workshop.
I
And you
remember.
remember that? Yeah. I was so excited about teachers podcasting with their kids or having their
Right,
kids podcast in the classroom. I just think like what an incredible way to get them to show what they know in a completely different way, allows
right.
them to be creative, allows them to like use their voice. I think it's so cool. So I think that's really cool that you're doing that right now. So that's one
So,
activity. And they're like right now monitoring themselves. So like that's
right.
the other part that. So
I have them
talk
on
a
a Google
little.
Meet and they're watching me. I can see them. They're waving at me right now.
I think that's crazy. So you first what grade is this? Like
So I teach kindergarten through fifth grade science and STEM.
mhm.
The group that I have right now is third grade through fifth grade. And it's just a group of kids that want to meet me after school every day through our after school program that we have at school. So some kids can go to art class, some kids can go to math achievers, which is like a supplemental, and some kids can come to STEM. And I always offer a STEM class after school 3 days a week.
That's so cool. So okay, so podcasting is one of the things. What else are you doing? Like what kinds of things do you do, especially like from a distance, like virtually like that?
Right. So one of the things that I had to do was kind of plan out. I have 24 days that I had to plan for our kiddos.
Mhm.
And we just looked at some of the supplies that we could send home. We are actually this group of kids are actually doing an egg hunt in our neighborhood, and they're
Mm.
painting river rocks. And that was one of our activities. So it's sometimes it's a STEM activity where we're building. We did the space rover landed, and all of a sudden we're like, let's learn about space and Mars. And so it's just kind of very eclectic. And
Yeah.
we look in our bag to find out what we could use, and then go with it from there. We use recycling around our houses, and we collect it, and then we might just say, okay, scavenger hunt, go find something, and then they'll go run
Yeah.
around their house and find things. It's been so fun. And this what they're doing next, after their podcast, they are working on their eggs, and they're painting eggs. And then on the bottom of it, we're putting our school on the bottom and saying, prize egg. And then they can turn that egg in. And we actually were able to get some donations from our families. And
Mhm.
I might have had some things in my buckets that we brought in, and we're giving out egg baskets. So they get prizes if they find an egg. And so just trying to get the community involved. And
Yeah.
we have a school garden. So
Oh.
in about 2 weeks, we have already done microgreens, and we had a local business teach us about microgreens and donate soil and seeds and containers to us. And we got to eat peas together. I'm at their house, at my house. I'm at my house right now because I have two schools, one country school and a city school. And we kind of converge in the middle, which is my house.
Yeah.
So some days I'm at my house teaching.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember
Yeah.
last time actually we talked about you had just gone to that rock quarry.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was so cool. And you had gotten all those rocks. So that just came back to me. I
Yeah.
remember that and I rember thinking that's so you're really good at like at gathering materials because I think
Yes.
that's a
I'm
big
a
hang up
hoarder
for
of
people.
science materials. Yes.
Yeah. So what kinds of things do you suggest that people like have on hand or you're saying like you're creating these kits? Like what kinds of things do you think people should have?
Right. So I service over 240 students.
Mm,
So what I have to do right now, because I teach in person, I teach 18 sections in person, and then the other 6 sections that I have are actually virtual.
oh
So
my
I
goodness.
plan all my lessons to make sure that they are like aligned together, teaching standards. I really look at my roadmap, and then I look at the standards and what I have to accomplish. And then I
Mhm,
figure out like what can I do to hit that lesson virtually, and
mhm,
then what can I do in person, and how can I get those supplies out to both groups. So where I might do the electricity unit this next few weeks are magnets and electricity, I'm gathering supplies that I have around the classroom, yarn. I'm doing, washers and
Mhm.
paper clips and little plastic chips, whatever I can find that I know could be good insulators and conductors for that day of
Mhm.
the unit. I might be making sure I can get a magnet from the dollar store for my kids that are at home so that they'll have a magnet so they can try to figure out things around their house that are magnetic and not.
Mm.
So even though I can't send everything home that I've used at school, I'm trying to figure out what I can do that is really comparable to
Mhm.
the kids that are in school. So
Yeah.
then at the kiddos that are at school, I'm making individual baggies up for them. So I know that I can quarantine those items. And
Mhm.
so today, my fourth graders were able to, I had some toys from my kids when they were little. I put some of those magnetic toys in there. I put a magnet in there. I put items that could be magnetic or not. I had some lodestone, I put
Mm.
that in there. And they were able to just discover sitting at your tables what's
Yeah.
magnetic, what's not. Check your table out, check your desk out. And they're just able to discover. And
That's
that's
so
our
cool.
first
Yeah.
layer. And then
Yes.
the kids at home are able to do the same thing using items around their homes. And then we always talk about the safety issues, like don't ever put anything in an outlet because I can't
Yes.
control their
Yes.
environment.
You're
Don't put
right.
anything in your
Yes.
mouth, so a note went home in their bags to make sure that they were safe too. And then we always, preface every lesson with that.
That's
So
great.
yeah, it's a matter of trying to figure out any lesson that you're doing,
Mhm.
what can we do that's comparable so you don't have to do two different lessons. Like I'm
Yes.
not doing 48 lessons. I'll do
No,
24,
no.
but
Yeah,
not
which is a
48.
lot, which is
Yeah.
already a lot. So that already that makes me feel overwhelmed. But I think that's really smart that you figured it out that way. And so when you say like simple STEM, like explain
Right.
exactly what that is.
So, part of what we've realized as we are working with our groups here, one of
Mhm.
the things that we realize is STEM is very different virtually, and
Mhm.
all of our after school classes this year have been virtual. So, I've had to think about like when you look at the engineering design process and you think, okay, what are all the steps that it
Mhm.
takes? The stamina that our kiddos have this year are really different than what we could do when they were in person.
Yes.
So I've really had to shift my mindset to, okay, we need a plan. Like, what is the criteria? What is our plan? What does our design look like? Now we don't have everything in front of us.
Mhm.
What can we use that I sent along in a bag?
Mhm.
And what can we use from our homes?
Okay.
And they end up typically being more maker space in a way
Uh-huh.
because it's really a task more than it is a problem we're trying to solve, and
Okay.
maybe more of a tier one type of STEM, challenge
Yes.
where
Mhm.
it's not like we're deep diving. It's not
Yes.
like we're solving any major problem. What we're trying to do is get kids to be excited
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
something where they've sat at school all day.
Yes.
And we are now, instead of, and my boys can attest to it, is that we start just having communications and talking and sharing and being able to socialize very
Yes.
differently because we couldn't do it at school.
Yeah. No, that makes
So,
total sense. And
yeah,
it's still such an important element of
right,
STEM. And like even with the makerspace and all that kind of thinking, it's that thinking, it's that, creativity and the
right,
communication that you're bringing back and those kind and the collaboration. And I think it's still so important, even if you're
right,
not doing a deep dive
right,
into a topic. And I think it still all really matters. And sometimes I think
right,
people get kind of hesitant. They're like, almost afraid to try something because they think it has to be this elaborate, in-depth
right.
conversation, and it doesn't have to be.
Exactly. So one of the examples was when I said about the Mars rover. So
Mhm.
I got out my task cards, and it wasn't like I said, it was at tier one. It was okay. We're going to make a land rover. What would our Mars rover look like? And we literally, I was like, I got to find recycling. Our recycling just went out. What can I find? I'm going to empty some
Yeah.
boxes out. And so they go around my house with me sometimes, or even like when I'm in class, and usually half the time I'm here at my house because I'm at the other school, or
Mhm.
I'm at school in the city, and they're going around the classroom with me and I'm finding things so they can see how I go about searching for
Yes.
items.
Yes.
And
Which is totally problem solving
yeah, it's
because
like we're
yeah.
problem solving.
Yeah.
And then
It's
we
like
deep,
that MacGyver brain that you have to use. Yeah.
right?
Which no one
And
ever knows what I'm talking about when I say that.
I know it's right? They're like, look what I found. I found like a cookie container, those plastic things the cookies came in, these
Yes.
perfect wheels. And it didn't have to roll. It just had to look like it was going to roll.
Yeah.
And so they got like really excited. Look, this is going to be like a scooper and it's going to scoop up the dirt to test. And I don't remember what they had grabbed, but it was like perfect. Yeah, that looks
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I think it would be if it was real. And
Yeah.
so just the idea that we were excited and we're talking and we're communicating with each other. And what some of our
And you're
friends get done.
thinking, which
Yeah,
we're focusing on those skills that are like
right.
real
Oh,
world
what could you use
skills.
instead? And oh, you
Yes.
don't have tape. Let's do this. And so
Yeah.
it's a matter of just letting them create and
Mhm.
expand their thinking. And then some of our friends get done early. Like I have a huge age group, like third grade through fifth grade is a big age group, regardless of what
Yes.
anyone thinks.
No, you're right.
It is. And so what we do is I give them a tic-tac-toe board.
Mhm.
And on that board, they get to they cross it off and then they can pick another thing on the board that they can focus on doing. So some of our friends just get done with one, or others get done with two or three. And then they share out. And then we do
That's
that for
cool.
several days. And if they don't want to, because we're really flexible with this class,
Uh-huh.
because it's just getting through this winter, with all the snow here where we're at.
Yeah.
We may just do 2 days and then move on to a different topic. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. So this is an after school. So this is not like during, this
Oh,
isn't
I do
during this.
that too.
You do that too. That's what I thought. I thought you did. Do you feel like you have more flexibility in like an after school than you do like,
Absolutely,
okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
So
would be like the fun part of teaching.
yeah. So what I do during school, and for example, right now we're doing solids and liquids in second
Mhm.
grade. And so what I do with my roadmap is, what can I put in a bag that I can
Mhm.
put at a table? And what could I put in the bag for the 9 weeks I have to plan in advance? So I literally have planned
Phew.
9 weeks out in advance. And those bags are all set to almost go out to grade levels right before break. So I'm planning like literally ahead of what kind of STEM activities I want to do.
Mhm.
So I have a roadmap and I just jot down, when can I put in a STEM activity? So right now our kiddos are doing landforms and waterways, solids and liquids on Earth.
Mhm.
And they are using literally just cubes that those little, I don't know, they're Unifix cubes, I
Yes,
think they're
yes,
called. I
yes.
have
Mhm.
buckets of them from math when I
Yes.
taught in the classroom. I hoarded them because,
Yeah.
it's always good to hoard things like that. And I put them all in bags and I gave them things and I said, okay, show me landforms and waterways. And they're making these really
Yeah,
cool
that's so
things
cool.
out of
Out of
just,
those, yeah.
Unifix
No,
cubes.
and those things, and a lot of people are not using those anymore, which
I
I don't
know.
understand because I think they're so helpful. And I know I just found some in a closet and I'm like, oh, I'm taking these to the
I know,
makerspace.
right?
Yes, because I'm like, you feel like you're like, score, I found,
Right.
yeah,
Felt
I
really good
found
about
those.
grabbing those things that nobody wanted. And
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, that's so funny. That's great. And so, okay, so talk about a little bit about how you get kids to this independent stage that because that's huge.
It's huge. So it really is. I tier it. So my little kindergartners today, they made umbrellas to protect themselves from the sun when they go on spring break. And if they don't get to go anywhere for spring break, what if that little umbrella that they made could be for one of their little stuffed animals and they could take
Mm.
it home? And so I gave them a little bag of sand that I had,
Oh,
and I
great.
gave them a straw, and I gave them a pipe cleaner, and I gave them a piece of paper in a circle, and I taught them how to maybe bend it and move it, and how could we stick it in the sand. And so the cup was in the, they put it in the
Mhm.
sand. It was so cute. And we just let them make an
Yeah.
umbrella and
Yeah.
just let them build it. And it wasn't perfect.
Mhm.
And what we want to teach them at the youngest stages is, when you get frustrated, it's
Yeah.
okay. What can
Yeah.
we do to move on and push on with positive growth mindset?
Yes. Yeah. Which
So
I love,
we're
which is so important.
really simple, like toilet paper tubes and a piece of paper to start off with. I mean, we're talking small and
Yes.
then build on it, because my
Yeah.
kiddos at this point in kindergarten, they're not getting frustrated because they know Mrs. Heinrich is going to say, well, try a plan B.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do differently? And it's all about getting them to do that. Now, the example would be, I went to a new school 2 years ago and those kids never did any STEM. So I
Yeah.
had to build that with them. Like, it's not instantaneous. Our fifth graders who have never done STEM, they're just as frustrated as kindergartners are as they start to learn how to do that. But it's a matter of teaching them that, it's our best first attempt and doing our best at what we have. And if it doesn't work and we didn't get done in the time we were given, it is okay.
It is okay. Yeah.
And
And
so,
you know what? I think it's interesting. I had Dr. Yen Benderhoven
oh, I
on.
love
Yeah.
her. Good friend of ours.
Yeah, I know. I that's why I was
The
telling you that.
rebel.
So, and she said something that really, really hit me. And she said that, and I feel the same way because I'm like, oh, they can't, in fourth grade, my kids were struggling so much with being creative. And as opposed to even third grade. And I'm like, the more structured type of teaching we give them, the less they show their ability to create.
Right.
And so I was talking about that, and she's like, because I'm like, they can't do it. And I didn't necessarily mean that they've never have been able to do it. But she pointed out that it's not that they can't do it. It's that we have almost like drilled it out of them.
Right.
Like,
it's almost like a controlled experiment where, you have everything the same.
Yes.
We want it to be a variable. We want them to be able to try something new. And if it doesn't work, it's okay to then modify it and change
it. But like they have like this innate ability to discover and explore. And we don't see that in the older children because we have like kind of ruined it for them with some of the things that we're doing in school. That's the
everyone's
thing
supposed to be on the same page.
Yes, they can't be on the same page.
Is the one place that you can still get away with saying, hey, we're going to build something and we can tie it to whether it be simple machines or we can tie it to, like, a great example would be first graders a few weeks ago. They were doing, we were learning about force and motion, and they made cars out of, like, literally, what would you want to use? I'm going to put in your bag a yogurt container, an old a cup. I'm going to put in some wheels and some straws. And what can you make? Is it going to slide or is it going to roll? And for the most part, all of the cars that they make slide. And you say, oh gosh, I don't understand. Why is it not? Oh, McDonald's is trying to sell me something. Coupon. So one of the things that we realize is, it didn't work. Why is it not? Do you have your axle correct? Do you even have it rolling? And then they're like, oh, one person gets it. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, what are they doing? And they look and they're seeing a way to solve their problem. And it's not cheating. It's goodness. I'm learning from my friend. And our friend is able to help me through something that's getting frustrating for me. They'll problem solve it. And then they're like, I got this. They are able to get their cars. And then you say to them, okay, now don't you need a seatbelt for your Beanie Baby to put in there? How are you going to modify your design? How are you going to change wheel size? And, use your science supplies. Like, we have FOSS. Use the science supplies to make a car. First, force and motion has these beautiful wheels in there. We use it for pretty much everything. And so you just have to be creative with the supplies you have too, to give students so that they can, create what you have as a activity for them.
No, I love that. I think that's great. And I think it's so important what you said about, building on that. Like maybe your fourth graders or older kids didn't have that, but now they do. And so, but just think about what it will look like when those kindergartners, as they move along.
I have those kids. I've had my students, these boys that I have there, they're watching me right now. I've had them since, many of them since they were in kindergarten. And so that's why this can happen, because they know exactly the process and they know what to do and they know how to problem solve. And when I check back in with them in a little bit, I know everything's going to be good, because
you've created independent. Yeah. You've celebrated independent thinking and learning and being creative and collaborative. And I love that. And I think that's what makes a huge difference.
I think the hardest part about this, situation we're in with COVID is that it made us have to, on our own, had to think like positive growth mindset.
We did. Yes. It was like an experiment for us. Yes.
And we either were able to persevere or we were
Mhm.
going to be negative and we're going to just, get ourselves worked up.
Yeah.
You and I were talking briefly right before we started is I have a new section of fifth graders coming and we don't know when it's going to start. We don't have a teacher for it yet. We just have kids that are coming back from virtual wanting to come back to school.
Mhm.
And I'm going to just kind of go where they are and we're going to have
Yes.
to just keep trucking.
No,
And
you're right.
if
One
they
foot in front of
haven't
the
had it
other.
down,
There's
we're
nothing
going to
else we can do. Yeah.
yeah, we're going to help them wherever they're at. And
Yeah.
so wherever you're at as a teacher, one little thing can you do to look at your science plans and say, okay, I'm going to try this. I have to teach, magnetism. How could
Mhm.
I, the kids say, oh, they have these trains at home that are magnetic. Could we build a car that has like a train set and everybody has to make a train and everybody's train goes together, even though you did it independently? We can now
Yeah.
join them all together and make a big old train together.
Yeah, I love
Because
that.
now, you're expanding what they know and you're trying something new. And it doesn't have to be very big. It can just be small enough to just feel like you're doing something that lets them have some creativity
Yes.
and different experiences and exposure, considering they've been sitting at their tables or desks for months on end without maybe
Yes.
doing that.
No, you're right. I know. I think that's makes it exciting. That's exciting. Well, Renee, so what can my listeners look forward to hearing from you at STEMCon? What are you talking about at
Oh
STEMCon
my goodness.
2021?
Well, if they are ever in need of just all of these things that come to my head that I'm doing
Mhm.
constantly, they can go to Science Schoolyard Instagram, and
Absolutely.
I have pictures of all of the things that my kiddos are working on every week.
And that's
All
on
of the different
Instagram.
things.
Make sure you
Yeah,
send me the link so I can share it in the show
absolutely.
notes.
So I love sharing my pictures of things that we're doing and all of the STEM activities and all of the science ways that I'm integrating so they can see it in case that they're not sure how to. They
Mhm.
can always reach out to me at k5sciencegal@gmail.com where they can, if they're not sure of like, hey, I teach the same unit, what would you do? I am open to that. We have a Surviving K5 Science Facebook group, and they
Oh,
can go
cool.
into our private Facebook group with over 1,600 other teachers that are looking
Wow.
for inspiration, collaboration. We've got videos there for people to use that our teachers are putting in there and saying, hey, I did a lesson on this. If you want to use it, here it is.
Oh,
Just
that's
some
great.
really awesome teamwork that we
Yeah.
have going on over there.
Yeah.
And honestly, where do you start and where we go from here? Well, you can always look for, those resources that are on Pinterest and you can look for those. But honestly, if we're here to help you, what I am going to be sharing is how to teach science virtually and independently with putting STEM into your day and how you can do that. And I have some free resources that'll go along with that. So if they want to get started right away, they can.
That's
And then
cool.
we also have, how to, find time to fit STEM into your day and what lessons we can learn from COVID,
Mhm.
and then being able to do that for next year too, because ultimately
Yes.
we've learned that, we could bake up things and, have kids
Yes.
some things right in front of them and it
Right in
didn't
front of them.
scary,
Yes. Like there we have it's actually forced us to think about it in a different way. So
totally
now
different.
there's
Right.
other things that we can do and we need to take those lessons with us
Right.
into the future. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Okay, that's
we could teach
exciting.
something virtually here, and it works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's exciting. Okay, well, I know that they're going to be so ready to come to STEMCon, so hopefully
I
they
can't wait.
will.
I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to some of those
me
different
too.
sessions
Me
because
too.
it's so exciting to learn from each other as well. And what that's like the best PD. You've been to some bad ones where you're sitting there and I don't get anything
Yes.
out of it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you can get so much out of it from teachers that are so excited
Ah,
about their own profession. And honestly, I've
yes.
been teaching over 30 years and I am still inspired every day to find ways to make science and STEM fun for my students. And so, yeah, I like walk down the hallway and they're like, science today. So I know I'm doing all right. So
Yes, I
I'd love
love
to
that. When
share
you're
that
the rock
with others.
star in the school, you know that you're doing something right. That's exciting. And no, and that makes it, and that's the thing that I love about it too, is the energy. The energy that was
Absolutely.
in the group last year was just, that made me feel rejuvenated. Like it was
Me
so
too.
exciting.
Like we can
Yeah.
do this, right? And we
Yeah.
can do this together. And that's the best part.
That's the best part. I agree. Well, thank you so much, Renee. And I'll link to all of your stuff in the show notes. So people who
Absolutely.
want to find you or get in touch with you, they will know how to do that.
I'm just challenging everyone to just try it. Put it in your
Yes,
science
just
and
try.
sprinkle it in just little bit by little bit. And I know
Yeah.
you can do it. So thank you so much for having me join you today. It's good to see you again
It's good to
and
see
hear
you
from
too.
you.
And thank you. Thank you so much for sticking around. You can hear from Renee and myself at STEMCon 2021, and you can join us at TrinaDeveryTeachingAndLearning.com/STEMCon 2021. We hope to see you inside. This one tired teacher is pumped up and ready for some PD from the comfort of your couch. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.